Hello. Welcome to day three. I should probably change the name of this. This is day three of the Solo Foundry. We're building a charity donation app. Um, so the first day we went through some ideation stuff. You can actually see it here on the YouTubes. Um, yeah, we did some ideation, some user stories, and then we looked at some of the assumptions that we're making about the app. Yesterday we looked at some lean canvas, kind of laid that out. I can bring that up in a minute. Um, Put together some surveys and try to find some channels to reach out through. So today we're going to uh, my own phone over here is making noise. Um, yeah, so we're going to look at some of the survey results because I got a handful of responses yesterday, and then we could also look at starting to do some prototyping. And if we get to it, maybe some smoke screening. But I think the prototyping would be good to kind of think through some of these things, some of the problems, and how we might solve them. So let's look real quick. Oh, yeah. So this is the lean canvas. So the idea with this is that as we are iterating on this business idea, we are kind of recording the evolution of the idea, so to speak. So this is what I think the business would look like right now, but it'll be interesting to see, in a few weeks or a few months or a few years what it actually looks like. But basically, I kind of read it kind of right to left. So the customer segments that we're looking at are charitable organizations and donors. So those are the two. Those are two different classes of people that'll be using the app. So I color coded them blue and red. So everything in blue is all charitable organizations, charities, and then things in red are just regular people, regular users, the donors. So charitable organizations, the problem here on the left is it's difficult to find donors. There's high overhead to manage donations, and they always need more money. Um, so the solution is to be found by donors, receive bulk donations, and receive more money than before. And the unique value proposition is that we'll increase their donor base and their total donations by grouping multiple donors into a single bank deposit. Um, that's not really that well written, but that's okay. For the donors, the problem that they have over here is that it's difficult to find charities. Donating to multiple charities and multiple sites is hard to keep track of. And one assumption was that the end of year tax documents um, was something that was hard to manage. The solution would be to create a list of charities to donate to with one consolidated monthly payment and um, you know creating tax documents at the end of the year. The unique value proposition is that they're able to regularly donate to a wider variety of charities than they currently do with one single monthly charge. So the channels that we reached out to yesterday, there was a small, did I bookmark it? Charity Collective. Huh. Let's see what's in the history. Um, yeah, it was like a charity collective. So they represented like 14,000 charities or something, mostly in the UK, I believe. So tried emailing them, but I did not hear back yet, which I'm not surprised. I think it's actually probably a pretty low chance that I'll hear back at all. And if I did, you know, 24 hours is a pretty quick response considering how busy they probably are with COVID and everything. So, um, in lieu of that, I also posted. Okay, so after we did this, we created two surveys. Um, they are in type form. Let me just open up a text file with this information in it. Charity. Okay, so organization survey and a donor survey. Um, so the charity survey that we sent out was essentially checking to see who the person is, what organization they're with, um, and then learning about their current, I guess, donor management practices. So, how many individual donors does your organization have? How do you currently acquire new donors? How many hours per week does your organization spend on donor outreach and management? So, this is trying to see like if they don't do it at all, if it's just like somebody's like every once in a while, if it's kind of a part-time job, if it's kind of one full-time job, or if there's more than one person doing it. Uh, if they're listed on any donation websites, so like if that's one of their main funding sources, this would be important to know a like what other sites are out there, but also which we could learn from, right? Um, but also to see if they're open to putting their if they've already put their charity on one of these sites, then they're much more likely to put it on ours as well. Um, and then kind of follow up. So that was what we sent out to the charities. Let's see what the responses were. Type form. Let's see if it will just log me right in. Cool. So only got a handful of responses back. Um, three, but one of them is actually me. We were testing that yesterday. But, two overnight is not bad. I think these, at least one of them came through Facebook and one of them maybe came through the LinkedIn. Uh, oh, yeah. So going back, sorry, I was just going to complete that thought. So that we emailed the charity collective, but then I also post these on social media, so Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Um, it was kind of weird to post it on Facebook, honestly. I thought that might be the quickest way to get some regular donor responses, but it's always, again, it's vulnerable to put out a survey to people you don't know, reach out to people you don't know, but it's also super vulnerable to do it to people that you do know. And for two reasons. One is that once you've kind of made that statement, if you fail, it looks like, yeah, the fear of failure, right? Um, you might look kind of silly, or you might feel like you look silly. But then the other is, I kind of alluded to this yesterday. Sometimes I had a friend congratulate me and say like, "Oh, I'm so happy that you're doing this. That's really cool." And maybe for some people, they could just take that support and be like, "Thank you. Like, I appreciate that, and this is going to be kind of a journey, and I could use all the support that I can get." Um, my scumbag brain sometimes goes, "Hey, you just got recognition or some sort of reward, and you didn't even really have to do anything. So like maybe we don't have to do this." And unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately sometimes that happens. And so yeah, putting it out there on personal social media is always a thing. Um, I also just realized that my mic was unplugged this whole time, so I don't know what that sounded like, or if it even sounded like anything. Maybe I've been muted for the first 10 minutes of this. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to assume that somehow, some way, some sound had come through. If not, hello. I'm Conroy. This is the Solo Foundry channel. Um, all right, cool. So, social media. Yep, and surveys. Okay, so organization survey. Those were the questions. Here are the results. Boom, 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 boom. And these were also sent to, wow, starts 10. Well, some of those might be me again. Um, yeah, wow, so 30% of them dropped off an email address. That's terrible. Well, that's good to know. Hey, these are super useful. Um, I can't believe that some people dropped off right there. That's crazy. Dang, man. This is really good to know. I don't think I've ever seen this feature with them. So I had said yesterday that the longer the surveys are, the more likely um, that they're going to, less likely people are to complete them. And it's not just linear. It's not like, you know, if you have 5 questions, they're 20% less likely, but I mean, that may be the case. But then it's not like 10% per question, right? Does that make sense? Um, it's not a linear line. It's like all of a sudden they'll just be like, no. And in this case, it almost looks like if you have more than one question, maybe that's a thing. Maybe I should look at that and just make like a one question thing. But cool. I don't know why this follow up one could have just said no, I guess. But maybe I'll put the email at the end. Like if I can follow up with you, can I have your email? And I'll put like optional. That might be a thing. Okay, let's see what the results are though. Summary. So I'm going to try not to. Okay, so those are names, email addresses. Okay, so the organizations that they're with. Okay, that was me. So the two people are the United Way of Southeast Alaska. So I live in Juneau, Alaska, and that's in what is called Southeast Alaska. We call it the Florida of Alaska, the Panhandle. Yeah, it's still cold, but it's not nearly as cold as the rest of Alaska. Um, like I think today it's like 55 for May. It's gonna be sunny in a day or two, and then it'll be like 65, and that's pretty awesome. Okay, United Way, Southeast Alaska. Um, cool. Pick a pick click give is that's related to the Alaska Permanent Fund dividend. So people um, get like a yearly check, and they can just donate that whole thing. Pick click give. So a lot of the groups around here, organizations, will do that. Cool. And then Dog Watch Sanctuary Trust. Church, which is cool. I don't know anybody in New Zealand that I know of. The person that submitted this is somebody that I had met in Peru, but they think that they're from Sweden, unless I'm getting that completely wrong as to who. Um, but cool, New Zealand. Oh, dogs for adoption. I've got a soft spot for the dogs. Cool. Organization's website. I guess they could have done that instead of searching for it. How many individual donors? So, um, I think this was me. I should probably just delete like my individual one. Let me see if I can just kill my own response um, because yeah, this is a trash one. No, not Wayne's. Mine. Yep. Cool. So now this will make more sense, I think. Okay. Wait, what? Let's reload that because that still had 3 responses. I don't know if this is big enough on screen share, so we'll make it super big. Okay, cool. Between 100 and 1,000 donors. How do they currently get them? I guess I have to look, since this was long form, maybe I have to look at the individual answers. Okay, so they're not spending too much, less than 20 hours. Let's again a long form one. Can I follow up? Okay, so let's look at the individual responses for some of those long form ones. So this is Southeast Alaska United Way. So social media and campaign presentations. What's a campaign presentation? So I know nothing about charities, nonprofits, how they work, how they get funding. I mean, I've kind of like peripherally, I know people that have been involved in this sort of stuff. maybe those are people I should reach out to. That'd be a good idea. Um, but I guess my point is that this is all going to be new to me, so um, I'll be learning right along. So your local United Way, that's good. Okay, so campaign presentation. Know what you're going to say, arrive early, um, villain and hero, so like the hero's journey type thing. Sell dreams. Okay. There. Okay. I'm assuming maybe they go into big groups, companies. I don't know. Do a presentation. Okay. So United Way is the one that does the 5 to 20 of outreach. Cool. Let's look at Mullins. 100 to 1,000 advertisements and events. Be really interested to hear about what these advertisements and events are. Like, I guess you could have like an adoption event for this is the dog shelter in New Zealand. Um, what sort of advertisements are they running and where they're running them? That I would really like to know. Okay, and don't know about that. So I wonder if I looked up. So I have a couple of like there's this give just giving. Actually, let's just look for Dog Watch Sanctuary Trust because that seems kind of unique. Reward Hub. Give a little. It's only 3 pages. I guess that means it won't be too hard to look through them. Why does it say Alaska? Do they have dogs in Alaska? Um, Pet Connection, Event Finder. Oh, that would might be their events. Um, art. All right, last page. I'm just trying to see if any of these are like I was saying, like this just giving site where they have a list of organizations out there and you can just hit donate for them. Give a little, kind of. Yep, exactly. Cool. Totally self-funded, registered charitable trust. Wow, good for them. It makes me so happy seeing people do this sort of stuff. For sure. This is Alaska. Oh, maybe the dog's name is Alaska. That'd be really cute. Yeah, she is. Oh, that's really cute. It was last year, so hopefully she found a home already. Oh, all right. Did we already look at this one? Event Finder. Cool. That doesn't. Yeah, it's not a donate anything, unfortunately. Oh, that's beautiful. Cool. Fundraising. All right. So, the one that did have a donate is Give a Little. So I'm gonna bookmark that. We can come back to it. Cool. All right. So advertisements, events, and she doesn't know. Cool. So that I don't really know what to take away from that as far as like besides the fact that maybe it wasn't a good survey, had too many questions or um, in the wrong order or I don't know. But yeah, they definitely have a lot of donors. I would say more than 100 people is a lot of people to manage, but um, not over 1,000. And then I don't think either of them are on any sort of like that they know of any sort of lists. Um, so let's check out the donor one. So the assumptions over here again were that it would be difficult to find charities, and keeping track of donations and stuff like that. So let's go back to this other survey for which we have 10 responses. Results. I should go ahead and delete my own test response out of there. This one deleted. All right. Cool. So the summary. Name. Okay. So how regularly do you donate? Cool. Monthly. So that was one of the things I was wondering is that like, are people already donating on a regular basis to charities, or is it like, if the way that they donate is like, well, like the Wikipedia thing, right, where it pops down the banner and says like give now or Wikipedia is going to shut down, and Jimmy Wales with his blue eyes, like how can you say no? Um, or like they're walking by like the pet adoption event and they're like, hey, donate to our you know our animal shelter, or is it like they have something they regularly want to support, right? So this is uh, encouraging for me that people are doing this on a regular basis. So which ones are they doing? Wow, this is a lot of them. All right, let me pull this out. I guess I actually have these in a spreadsheet. I could do that too. All right, so come on, Tax Wrangler. All right, all right. So Glory Hall, this is a homeless shelter here in Juneau. Homeless shelter. So this is homelessness and cancer. This is church, religion. This is direct giving. Alzheimer. Okay, so that's like health research. Humanitarian church. Fountain House. Okay, so this is food. I'm trying to categorize these, sorry. I guess I can make them more clear. Um, so this person, homelessness. So this person put in homeless. And then they also did cancer. I'm going to split up their answers because they have some commas in them. What is Fountain House? Again, I don't know anything. Okay, mental health, recovery. Cool. So we'll put in mental health. Um, American Civil Liberties Union. So would this be like political, legal? So I think they kind of do both. ProPublica. I should know these things. Investigative journalism. Wow, so that's a wide range. Whoever this person is. Um, what is humanitarian? I wonder if this is one thing or if they meant like humanitarian, comma church. No, you know what? I think Yeah, the LDS Church Humanitarian Aid Fund. So I'm going to put this down, I guess, with the religion. Cool. And then United Way. Um, I hate to call it like, this is going to be really bad sounding. I think they're just kind of like they do a lot of stuff, right? It's kind of like a general make the world a better place. United Way. One of the most interesting things about doing an application in a new domain is that you get to really dive into it. Um, so like whenever I work with clients with their ideas, like the tech side of stuff is very cut and dry, in my opinion. But grasping a new domain and really getting in, like digging into it, is always my favorite part. Um, yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is I love this sort of research where I'm finding out, okay, I've heard of United Way, I've heard of them a lot. What do they do? Sanitation, education, youth, digital literacy. Okay. Yeah. So at the risk of sounding kind of weird, I'm just going to call it general as an, or how about everything? They do a little bit of it all. K2 is our local radio station. Where was journalism? Put it here. This direct. Cool. And what is Sail? I bet it's Southeast Alaska something. Sorry that this might be insensitive. I don't know some of these things. Ah, I have heard it before. Sail Juneau. Independent living. Cool. Yeah, that's how I've heard of it. Um, Sweet. Okay. Um, Southeast Alaska independent living. So where should this go? Independent living services. Um, Now I'm wondering about even trying to do these catalog. I guess this is um, gonna have to catalog these eventually. Okay, cool. Oh, I just realized it's pretty small. That's why I wasn't using that before. This will. This one let this get bigger font. All right. Wow. So that is quite a wide range. Um, cool. So this would be our donor response. Um, Charities by category. I should put that in the folder. Awesome. Okay. So how did you find these? Facebook, C-SPAN, Twitter, work, church, personal knowledge, region, um, phone calls or advertisements online, live in the same city. Okay, so mostly either through an institution like church, um, social media, Facebook, Twitter, so that's a good thing, or just like personal knowledge. just from being in the same city. Okay. So this was kind of interesting. I was wondering how important the tax part of it was, right? So looking at the end of your tax documents, how important that would be. And the first few responses, people actually weren't saying that they did the deductions, but then at the end, yeah, they were. Okay. So the other question there would be like, I haven't talked to a lawyer or an accountant yet about if we accept donations on behalf of charities and forward that entire donation to the charity. Does that still counts as that person, donating? Because it's kind of like, if you pay something through PayPal or Venmo or even like through Visa, you're technically paying those companies, right? And then those companies are paying the other ones, but they don't take any liability for that, I don't think, right? So if you PayPal to a nonprofit, it's still considered a payment to the nonprofit. So I think as long as the records match, that you say that you donated $100 last year, and the organization says you donated $100, I think it should be golden. But I am not a lawyer. I need to talk with some. And cool, everybody's open to following up. So what I might do, and I'll probably do this offline, is I will send emails to the list of emails that I have and invite them to say something like, here, I'll just write it now. Pretty simple. Hey, name. Let's make this big again. Um, Thanks for would you be up for a 20-minute um, cool. And this is calendly.com slash we'll figure that out later. I have that all set up. That's actually one of my favorite things is Calendly integrates with Zoom. So like and you can attach different like calendars, like your Google calendars to it. So it knows when you're available, when you're blocked. And then when somebody creates an appointment, it sends that email. Um, Actually, I could show that real quick. What I didn't want to show was everybody's email on here, I guess. What am I doing? Oh yeah, survey, thanks, Calendly. I'll go into loading, loading, loading. Calendly, and then I have this one called a one-on-one. But I think Auto, come back. I'm just gonna show the integration. But yeah, so this is what it looks like. It's like if somebody wanted to talk. I guess I only have Tuesday through Thursday. I should probably change this before I send the link out. Um, but yeah, say somebody wanted to talk tomorrow. These are the available times in my time zone. And then you just like pick, let's talk at 12. And you would say, here's my name, .com, and then talk about stuff. And then when you schedule the event, cool, this is the details, but even cooler is uh, in your email, now you have a calendar invite. My internet is fast. It's my computer that's struggling. This OBS, man, it is a resource hog. Cool. New event. Ooh, it's windy out there. Okay, got it. Go away. Yep. Cool. So then it has the time and it has the Zoom link, the call-in numbers, and the details that they had entered. And then on here, it shows up in the calendar with waiting, with all this information. So you can just hit the Zoom link and it has the details again here. It's great, I think, both for finding people who are booking the time as well as if you book a lot of I hate to say sales calls, but like yeah, if you have people that are essentially booking your time, you can kind of like time box that and then they pick whatever's better for them. And it's so much easier than saying, I'm free anytime Thursday from like 2 to 4 p.m. and then you have to translate that in time zones. And then they're like, well, I'm not free during that time, but how about 1 p.m.? And you're like, that back and forth. It's 2020. We don't need to do that back and forth. Cool. So that's Calendly. So that's the link that I'll send out. I'll create one. I'll change my um, availability so that people can talk. And I'll probably make myself available on the weekends too, since these are individual people that, this isn't their job to answer my questions. Um, Sweet. So yeah, so that's all good stuff. Um, Again, not as many. Can't really say that the organizations are statistically significant. And I guess even like 10 donor ones are not statistically significant. I forgot what the ratio is, but like if you're going to be serving 1,000 people, like 10 might be okay. If you're serving like 1,000,000 people, like you might need like 100 or more. Um, Obviously, those multipliers don't make sense. I'm not a statistician, but yeah, I can't really say for sure, but it is. I think the interesting thing is that people are donating. They're donating on the regular, and here's kind of some beginning ways of thinking about how to classify them. Um, and what's interesting, this is actually a surprise to me. Other than this one, which I'm sure is actually the person that works at United Way of Southeast Alaska, none of these are. Um, I was thinking everybody would be like, oh, Red Cross or like, like the big. I guess ACL's use kind of a big name. Um, but yeah, I just kind of assumed that it was big companies, big kind of everything organizations that were getting the bulk of the donations. So it's pretty cool. What's sad is actually there's no pet ones on this one. And I'm pretty sure the person that posted that the pet organization also filled out this side of it. So interesting. Um, oh, but I think this was their answer. I only donate directly to humans in need. And that is, yeah, I get that actually. I do that mostly as well. Cool. Yeah, there it is. OBS taking more than 100%. Crisp is also a hog. Maybe I should turn off Crisp, but it makes the mic sound better. Can't hear background noise. Cool. So what now? So we're about 45 minutes in. Um, we have our set of user stories from, let me open anything other than that. Anything. Okay. Set of user stories, which are kind of, to reiterate, they're kind of like the features that we want, but think about them in terms of like a beginning, middle, end of what the user is trying to accomplish, what they do in the app to bring that about, and then the ending is what the new state is. Um, I guess that would be a better way to write these. I actually did. Um, but I was thinking the other day, I forgot to put in ones about email. But okay, so this is like user stories, user stories. So things about registering, looking at profiles, editing profiles, setting up payments. The social is like being able to add your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram account so that you can find other people on the platform. Unfollowing, blocking users, getting notifications about their activity. So probably put this one down a little bit. I think won't start off with the social aspect. Charities. So we have the list, being able to filter, search, and sort. Public charity profiles. So being able to look at it, and then from both perspectives, both as the organization and as a donor. Um, being able to add a charity to what groups you want to donate to, selecting how much you want to donate to the app that's hosting this, aka what we're building. The index funds, that's one of my main assumptions, which I would probably want to test in other ways first, which we're going to get to with the prototyping. But being able to say, like, group together a bunch of dog shelters. So say that you like searched specifically for dog shelters and you just went down and you added them all, right? Um, but you said I only wanted to, spend $10 a month supporting dog shelters. That would be what this would be. Um, charity management. So inviting managers, um, they can sign up, they can edit, and they can change their payout. And then this is kind of like maybe we might get to some of them. Sounds like the donor tax documents, but unless we're doing those quarterly, we won't need those for a little bit. So the ones that I forgot are emails. So this is kind of an important one, I think. Um, payment coming up emails. So when to be charged. Cancel, skip, or cancel. So I don't know about you, but whenever I have a subscription thing, like it frustrates me how many times I forget to, I sign up for one thing for a trial, and then they never send me like, hey, your trial's about to expire, and they just charge you, and you're like, that's so backwards. And then you try to go to customer service, and they're like, blah 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 blah, and then you're angry, and then you go to try to cancel, you can't find the cancel, and they're like, your whole business model is confusing people. And that is a business model, and people use that. I was just listening to the other day that Simon Sinek book, um, Start With Why. He's talking about how coupons are used to make us, um, or like rebates, sorry. Rebates are used to make us think about that product in terms of the other price, but then the instructions on there are difficult to follow, and if you don't do them right, then you don't get the rebate, or people forget to do it in general. And that's the whole business model. Is um, they only have to pay out like 10 or 20% of the rebates. Um, so yeah, that's frustrating. I don't want to be that. So what I would love if I had this, and I think I've seen this in like Betterment or some other things. Um, I think you can do this in Audible too. Like if you don't, they'll send you an email and you can say like, "Hey, skip this next one," right? Um, for whatever reason. But it's not like it's not an all or nothing. It's not like saying if you don't do it now, then you can't ever do it. It's just saying not this time. And then you get another email the next month saying, "How about now?" Right? So payment coming up, um, and then payment posted email. So once I'm charged, I want to be able to so let's say when I'm about to be charged, let's say this is like 5 days. Because I don't know about you, but as I've gotten older, time is speeding up. So those 5 days, like you blink and it's like, it's been 10 days since you got an email. You're like, I've been meaning to follow up to that for 10 days. Um, Maybe some people are better at that than I am. So once I'm charged, I want to receive confirmation. Um, a list of my charge and the charities it went to. Cool. And then I also want an easy refund button. Yeah, refunds. All right, so let's go through here. Let's do payments as its own section. So to be able to see maybe we'll split these up. Payment receipts. So I want to be able to print out, download a PDF of individual receipts with each charity on it. Or what's another thing I would want to do? Refunds. That's what we got here. Next to any payment, I want to be able to press refund. Get a refund back on my card. So I don't think that there should be an expiration date on this. Um, what I'm hoping is that by having that donate to this company, like the company that we're building, um, kind of like GiveWell does here at the bottom. I've shown this in the other videos, but I'll do it again. So if we were to go into here and say, I want to donate $25, and then down here, you also say I would like to add 10% for GiveWell, it goes to $27.50, right? So the charities still get the 25. You're charged 27.50. It's all good. Some companies like Airbnb, they charge both sides, right? There's a service charge for the host. There's a service charge for the guest. Um, they take a lot of money. They make a lot of money. There's other things like uh, not Indiegogo. What's the other one that's big? The Kickstarter, where it's just like an implied. They don't charge you, the supporter, but they take a cut, 5%. So yeah, between 3 and 5%. So I don't want to charge the charities. I don't want to have them like it costs them to be on the site. And I also don't want to take out of your $25, I don't want to take the 250 out of that rate and only donate 22.50. So having it as an optional donation on top of your donation. If at the end of the day there's not enough people donating to support the site, then maybe the site shouldn't exist. Or we'd find some other way to support it. But it'd be great if enough people are like, yes, and also um, that would be the ideal world. I guess we'll see what it's like when there's actual user behavior. But all that to say, um, I don't see why there should be any reason that like if you forget about it for like a few months and it just keeps getting charged and you're like, I keep meaning to do this, I keep meaning to do this, even though, there was emails about you're about to be payment coming up, and there's also this one where you could refund it there. Um, I think being able to see and refund any of these on the card. But there probably should be a limit. Like, could you go back 10 years? I mean, that'd be a problem 10 years in the future, but you know what I mean. For the past 90 days, let's say. I don't know, 6 months, 180 days. I think that sounds pretty reasonable. Um, cool. What are the emails? I guess if we were doing the social, um, if someone followed you, email, social, recent activity, email. But yeah, I'm not too worried about the social stuff right now, so we can dig into those later. What are the ones that we definitely have to have? Obviously, like account management, password resets type stuff, but I'm planning to use an authentication provider. I haven't necessarily figured out which one yet, but they handle that side of the stuff. So actually, we never even store the password on our side. It just makes sense to me. So, like I was saying yesterday, so once we start digging into, or we're about to start digging into um, the prototyping part of this, like the mock-up, um, I think the common thing that I've seen for myself and for other people is just like trying to start with the easy stuff, where it's like the homepage or the login screen, or and we called that bike shedding. I don't know if we looked up the definition yesterday. Wasting time on trivial details while important matters are inadequately attended to. Yep. So let's not do that. I like using this program called Wireframe Pro. Let me close out some of these other browser windows. Which other ones are open? None of them. Cool. And if I were to dig into like the one that has the most risk or unknowns, it would probably be balancing the how you're donating, right? So like going back to GiveWell, we could definitely do this sort of text box thing, but like the premise that I have is that people have a fixed amount that they want to donate to. So like a site like Patreon, right? You donate $5 here, $5 there, and once it gets over a certain amount, then you're like, right? You're like, I'm donating so much. If they have like $50 a month, right, between 8 people or something like that, um, and you want to add a ninth person, but you're like, I don't want to go over $50. Now, what do? Do you downgrade some? Do you get rid of some that maybe haven't been creating or haven't been watching lately? Um, I mean, that's a hard problem, right? So what I'm thinking is that we can solve that problem by doing like a some sort of interface that makes it easy to say fixed cap of donating $50 a month, and then so you have the 8 and you kind of say 20% here and 5% there and whatever, and then when you add a ninth, it just decreases all of them, so it's like 18% and 4%, and and to make room for that ninth one. That's the idea. Um, let's just see. Um, Charity app. Let's just see what it looks like. So I have a friend named Joe. He has a site called bitesizeux.com. He is an amazing user experience designer. That's what the UX stands for. He teaches or manages at the General Assembly. Um, very, very dedicated to helping people just get better at this craft. He's such a nice and energetic guy. So he's got these little challenges. Sorry, I shouldn't say little. These really cool challenges where he comes up with an idea for. It's just a fake app that he's thought of, and then the challenge is to design an interface for this. And yeah, people do this, and it's really amazing. I think recently UX Sports Challenge. Well, I have it in one of my histories or an email. Um, it's insane what some people come up with, honestly. Um, yeah, let me stop this real quick because I would love to show this. Because this is what we're about to do is try to make something like this, except without being. Uh, I'm not super practiced at it, um, but that's okay. It just do my best. But one of the techniques that I learned from Joe, which we can do today, is called Crazy Eights, and I'll share that in a minute once I have my screen back on. I'm checking my personal email, trying to find this bite size thing. But Crazy Eights is this idea that okay, so in my head right now, I kind of have an idea of what this sort of like portfolio balancing interface might look like. Um, so I can go ahead and draw that out, but then and I only give myself like a minute to like sketch it out and just get the basic idea out, and then the timer goes off, and you do it again. But you're supposed to throw out the original idea and try to do something unique and original. And so you do that 8 times. Um, and by the end of it, you have like some really off the wall stuff that you didn't even know was in your brain. But by doing this challenge, you've kind of like forced yourself to be creative, if that makes sense. Cool. Sorry, my brain got fixated on the, the emails. I'm trying to find the one about sportsing or exercising. Homebody. All right, so bite size UX. Okay, /challenge/fitness app. Sorry to take so much time on this. I think if my computer were faster, it wouldn't have been quite so long. Okay, so let me start this thing again. So yeah, fitness app UX challenge. So he's got all these sort of challenges that people just participate in. It's free, it's fun, um, open to all levels. So this person that was the winning entry, um, Dimitri, had this insane app. So just keep in mind, this doesn't exist. This is something that this person made up with their brain, and then they coded it as a clickable prototype. So you can see in some of the places they try to click like on the 30 to 45, and it didn't work because you literally have to like it's kind of like a slideshow if there's like a link on a slideshow, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, thinking about it as like what sort of criteria do people want and how do you interact with that and what are best practices with an app and so here they're filtering them and they're sorting them. It's pretty amazing. I'm pretty impressed. It's a very like Netflix type UI, right? But yeah, super cool. So we're not gonna make something that high fidelity, but we can definitely try to make something. And here's the Dimitri's thought process. So he kind of laid it out. Um, this presentation, and the way that he goes through thinking about, um, like it's a practice, right? Of thinking about what is it like to be a user, and what am I trying to accomplish, and how would I want to see this interaction? It's very hard when we're the ones with all the domain knowledge and the information about the app. We know where things are and we laid it out in a way that makes sense to us. But that's one of the benefits of doing like user testing is doesn't the way that we think about it isn't the way that everybody thinks about it. So filters, cool. He has the coach or the walkthrough. So yeah, so he also did some research on existing apps out there, right? So you can kind of get ideas about what you like and what you don't like. So I think that's one of the benefits of working with a UX designer is if they've used a lot of things and they thought about them and they've categorized them, um, they kind of know what works and what doesn't in certain circumstances and situations. And right? So then you're like, oh no, you shouldn't use that here because you should use this other type of interface instead. That has a different affordance, and that's a fancy word. That's the only fancy word I know, affordance. It's a thing when it tells us like what we're supposed to do. Like a handle on a door says pull, and a plate on a door says push, right? If it was a plate on a door and you're supposed to pull it, it'd be very frustrating. Or if you've ever had, sometimes they do this, the handle on a door, and I'm talking about like those glass ones where you can't tell which way it's supposed to go, right? Not like a door in your home, but like a handle on a door, and you go to pull it and it hits like, the stopper at the top, and then you're like, oh, this is supposed to be a push. Um, which actually reminds me, there's uh, this great thing on Netflix. I think you should leave. It's like this really bizarre comedy, really bizarre. Um, so funny, or at least it's my type of humor. But yeah, the very first sketch is him like trying to force a door to go the wrong way because he can't admit that he's wrong. Um, but yeah, so again, going like this, right? If I only wanted to do 25, by the time I got down, is that five? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By the time I got down to these, there's three more. I'm gonna have to do like, okay, well, what about, do I do, have to go back and change all these, right? So, and then you realize actually I have to do it by 3, and then one of them can be 4, but I can't do like 3.125. It'd be kind of weird to put in a text box, but that's exactly what I would want this interface to do, is to split it down to that. All right, so let's do some crazy eights, and they're not going to be perfect, but as in it won't be exactly 8 minutes. We might do exactly 8 of them. Crazy eight. No. Yeah, so Google's Design Sprint Kit. This is one of the things in their book. Understand, define, sketch, decide, prototype, validate. I guess that'll eventually come up. So they have you doing them with pen and paper. So here's an example, right, of a sketch of a user interface. And here's all 8 of them. This one they actually had you divide it into 8 sections. Those look really nice. But it'd be kind of hard to show that from my computer. So instead, let's we'll just do 8 of them. All right, so we're imagining this page. Let's put header. We'll just do another rectangle, I guess. Depending on which tool set you get in this Wireframe Pro app, sometimes there are like predefined headers. I'm just going to assume that we have like a subset of the page, if that makes sense. Like there's a top nav bar and maybe there's like a side nav bar or something. So we're just going to work with this inside part. One of the reasons to use like the sketchy hand drawn so that you don't do what I'm about to do, which is get really trying to make everything line up perfectly, because you won't. So I'm going to group it, and then I'm going to lock it. All right, that means that I can't move it, and that, yeah. So, okay, so let's put, I might give myself 2 minutes. So we might do 15 minutes of this total. Let's do a timer. 2 minutes just because it takes longer to, use a mouse than it does to use a pen. Or at least I'm going to tell myself that. Two minutes. All right. One of the things that I was first thinking is, what if we had like a giant circle? And this represented like all the things that you're donating to. And then over here, you might have yeah, I might need more than 2 minutes if it's going to take that long to even drop an element. You might have like the name, the scribble, right, of one of the of each of the charities. So I'm going to do it with, I don't know how many. I guess I'm just going to kind of randomly add them. Now, this doesn't look like it'd be very fun to program, but we could find a way. I'm sure for some people it wouldn't be that crazy. For me, it looks like a lot of work. All right, so then the next thing would just be lines. And that was 2 minutes. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow. I'm just going to finish this off real quick. Can I get to just the line part? All right. Okay, so we're going to do like this. And we'll get line. This was like not quite a quarter, right? The idea is that it wouldn't necessarily have to be perfect. It's just a general-ish concept. Boom, boom. I don't know why I had to make my own pie chart. Actually, now that I think about it, I could have just, you know, found a pie chart online. Whatever. I guess I didn't think it'd be this hard, take this long. All right, but this should be the last of these divider lines. Right, and then just as an example, I won't do all of them, but like something like that. Cool. So uh, hand icon. All right, let's see what icons are in the icon library. Yeah, this is taking way longer than 2 minutes. Drag, move, left. I'm trying to think of some sort of like dragging indicator. Hand. No. Arrows. Yeah, like this one. I think this is what I want. Okay, and let's get another icon. Go back to the hand one. Oops. Guess maybe we shouldn't do the opacity on that. That looks so weird. Can you feel just the inside? Border. Anyway, um, the idea is that you could just adjust these, right? Now I'm just getting kind of, I shouldn't be looking at this deep. Kind of a waste of time. Back to the crazy eights. Okay. Yeah, so if you drag that left and right, then it would increase or decrease that, right? But I don't really know how, like that line's in between these two, right? It's in between this one and this one. But if you move that, I don't know how you're supposed to know. Is it supposed to be shrinking just this one or proportionally shrinking all the others? No idea. Okay, so let's make a folder. Crazy eights. Okay, and then let's also duplicate this and let's do template. Because let's get rid of all this stuff. And this. We want to keep this stuff locked. Cool. Now we can just duplicate this. All right, so try number 2. Bar graph. So I don't know if that's the right term for it. Let's go back to some rectangles. So it's kind of the same idea as the other one, except let's make it vertical. And it's going to have a bunch of horizontal lines dividing it. And so I'm thinking that this might be, maybe the default is like ordering by the ones with the most at the bottom. right? So it's like the smallest ones are at the top. I think that kind of looks visually better. Yeah, okay. I think that is pretty indicative that they're actually getting larger. This one would be, yeah, no, I think that's definitely it. And then now that I've deleted all those labels, let's get them all back. Wait for the computer to catch up. It's gonna get the hand. Yeah. All right. And I think one of the benefits of this is that you can actually have it be out like this. So the text is just kind of, it reads, well, like you would expect it to. As in horizontally, it's not scattered throughout the page, reads top to bottom, which is pretty. Are there languages that read bottom to top? I know there's some that read right to left. The things that you don't know about the world could fill a book. All right. That's a joke. I don't know if you know that one. Because obviously it could fill way more than a book. Arrows. There's an up-down one. Yes, there is. Cool. But I think this has the same problem of not really being sure which one you're trying to adjust, right? So let's step back and think about that because that's just a general problem that we're going to have to solve. If you have any sort of like, even if you have any sort of just individual up-down arrow, like imagine that this is just like being able to click up, 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 down, 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 down. What do the other ones do if it's all out of a fixed percentage? Because again, like the assumption is that we're making this like a fixed amount, right? So if we go back and do that on this chart, be like that. Right, so potentially you could, let's get some scribble text. You could say this is something like 20 or 28%. I actually don't know how many percent that is, but it's more than a quarter and probably less than a third. Right, you could put that here, but you could also do, let's say that this is like a fifth. This could be $5, right? So you could have it either in absolute or in relative terms. I kind of like the bar. I mean the pie chart. But okay, so that's another one. Let's try another interface. So O3. Let's try. Let's just try text boxes. So we'll make it just like this GiveWell one, where yeah, make it like that one. So let's take the same ones from this. I'm going to get rid of this. So the outcome of the crazy eights isn't that you find the one interface, but you might pick up on um, different ways of thinking about it that you might take over to like combine, right? Okay. I think one of the things I can do is align left and then distribute vertically. Sweet. Okay. And then a bunch of input boxes. I'm gonna have to have my brain think about the answer to that question. What do you do when you want to adjust one of them? And that's one of the reasons why I'm thinking of maybe not thinking about them in terms of actual dollar amounts is I don't know about you, but like I've had vehicles where the radio just has like a doesn't have a number for the volume, it just has the bar, or where the heat doesn't show a specific degree, it just has like blue, cold to red, hot. Um, and I always like those so much better because I don't get stuck on obsessing about a certain temperature. And I'm not saying that everybody does that by any means, but I think it's pretty common. People only like it on evens or odds or something like that. So I feel like two birds, one stone. We don't have to show like an actual dollar amount, and then people won't feel weird about donating like $3.41 if that's what the split comes to. And I think ditto with um, um, the percentages. Like I don't want to have to do math. If I want one at a quarter, 25%, and I want another one at 20%, like a fifth. Now I'm at 45, so I've got 55 left, and I've got like 6 things to do. 55%. Like that sounds terrible. Because 6 times 9 is 54, so there's an extra 1% left to distribute. Does one of them get 10? Oh my gosh, that would drive me nuts. Yeah, that would drive me so nuts. So let's do that to show, because these are all nice round numbers, but $3.41, like $8.19. Do you ever see The Jerk? $1.27. I like that number. Um, these are all irksome numbers. And again, back to the thing where like I don't know if they add up to anything. Kind of tempted to add them up. Let's see how much my estimation is, just for kicks. It's a total waste of time. There's like this game called Elevate that's pretty fun. It's like an app for brain games, brain training, and one of them is estimating if you add up some numbers. You're supposed to like in like a couple seconds pick what their sum is and move a slider to be close to it. You don't have to be spot on, but yeah. See, I was over by over $5.50. I was aiming for 25. Anyways, it's a fun game. It's a interesting practice. So let's do text boxes, dollars. I don't need the S there. Text box, dollars, and then let's just duplicate this and do text box percent. So this is going to be even more annoying, I think. 25%, 20%, 5. So we've got 55. Okay, that actually works. But let's make it even more annoying. 10%. So 45, 55, and then across 4 of them, I have to do 55. So no, I have to do 45. Yeah, okay, so this is the same problem that I had earlier. One of them is going to get, no, sorry, these are 11. Anyways, I want to make them look annoying again. Yeah. So I think that's one of the benefits of doing like a digital, sorry, not digital, but like a visual thing is that you don't have to worry about it um, being weird. Okay, so let's go back to, I think so far I like this one the most. But let's keep iterating on it. Because I wanted to think pie chart, um, maybe we can do some research and see how other people do this because this has to be a solved problem. Um, but I was thinking as we were lining stuff up, like earlier when I had um, these scribbles and I wanted to distribute them like this, right? Align left, align top, distribute vertical. What if it did something like make all of them equal? Like that would be kind of an interesting thing. But even more than that, like what if we did what if there's some that are like could you just show like the icon of equalness? Forgot. which icons we have. Let's see if there's some related to this. And I guess that goes back to like maybe there's more than one way to do this, as you might be a combination of them, but maybe some people want to see it as a pie chart, and some people want to see it as a bar chart. Hmm. So I wouldn't be focusing on this so much if it weren't like even after you add the charities that you want, you have to figure out how much you're going to give each of them. And I know you could do, like I was saying that Patreon does, which means every one that you add, you just pay more per month. But um, I think it's perfectly valid to say, like, in my budget, I can allocate $25 or $50 or whatever per month, $100 per month, um, to charities. And how do I want to split that? That's, I think, for me personally, would be kind of the fun part, is digging in and seeing what charities are out there and adding them, and kind of doing those proportionally. Um, but I don't want to kind of be penalized by adding another charity. Like if I'm putting $100 a month of goodwill out there, um, there shouldn't be any rules that say, you know, if I'm doing it with 20 organizations, if I want to add a 21st, that I have to up that. You know, so I think people might manually do this anyways, but how do we make it not manual? So I kind of don't like those percentages or the dollar signs that are here. So how do you adjust the percentages? Okay, well here's a totally random one. Um, Hear of that $1 million homepage? He sold 1,000 squares for 21 years old. 1,000,000 pixels for $1 each. Brilliant. Isn't this amazing? 21-year-old kid made $1 million off this. Good for him. It's pretty fun too, right? Wow, this person's paying a lot, and there's nobody here renting them. That's funny. Anyway, so it's so 90s. When was it actually? 2005. Wow. To raise money for his education. Well, good job, Alex. That's so cool. Um, so what I was thinking is if you could have an interface. Now, I think this would only work in numbers that have a square root, right? So like $25 a month could be a 5 by 5, $16 a month 4 by 4. But let's just think about it in pixels. Am I going to regret that? Not data grid, rectangles. So I can already see a problem with this, but let's just go with it for a second. Hey, those are too big already. So in this case, it becomes the pigeonhole principle again, where if I have 25 squares and I want to do 26 charities, then one square has to have, at least one square has to have more than one in it. If that makes sense. But let's just do this anyways, because we're doing crazy eights. It's not about editing while we're doing it. It's just thinking. We want to distribute horizontal, but let's align middle. Cool. And then let's duplicate this. It should help us snap the grid. But maybe this is the wrong way of thinking about it in terms of this would be like $5. Right? That's what each one of these, oh no, each one of these squares is $1, isn't it? Okay. I would say that maybe you couldn't like have less than $1 to an organization per month, but that's actually kind of the whole point, is that that should be a very easy thing to do, because you're paying in bulk your $25. That's one transaction, and then your kind of micro transaction of less than $1 is getting aggregated with a whole bunch of other ones that are then being distributed in one bulk transaction. So you might only be contributing 17 cents, but combined, that charity might get, $100 that month or something. So, unfortunately, I don't like it, but it was a good thought, or at least had the potential to be a good thought. We've only got about 15 minutes left. And how many of these crazy eights have we done? 5. And none of them are even that crazy. How about, let's do some research real quick. Benzinga. Yep, definitely don't want that sort of interface. How do I close this? I don't want to trade for free. I just wanted to go. Oh, there's the no thanks down in the bottom. How did I not see that? Again, interfaces that are set up for people to fail. What is that called? Dark pattern user interface, I think. Dark UX patterns. Yeah, there's man, now I want to read that book. I I think he wrote a book, or is it just this blog post? Darkpatterns.org. Bach. Sorry, this is a total tangent. But yes, that no thanks that's down in the bottom right where you wouldn't expect it, outside the box, very lightly colored, very small text. The worst. Hall of Shame. Oh, reading list. Hmm. Anywho, yeah, I'll stop. So, stock allocation interface. So, oh man, what am I trying to think of? UX patterns. Trying to see if there's any existing things out there for like balancing. And I bet it's frustrating if you're listening to me flounder and you already know an answer. That'd be great if people were on the stream. They could talk about it, but because I would love some feedback, some thoughts. We really don't know, you know. I'm definitely a wisdom of crowds type believer. Pattern tap. UI scraps. Pattern browser. All right, so this is the first one that they talked about, UI patterns. Um, okay, dealing with data. Yeah, I don't see any of these in here. Got like tables and filters and sorting and stuff. Um, what's Oxford format and forms? What's a rule builder? Forgiving format. Hmm. Wow, it would be great to talk through some of these. That's pretty amazing. Um, okay. The user needs to quickly enter data, but the format must adhere to a predefined structure. So the date, you do a date picker and it gives you the exact date format. Segment builder. Oh yeah, okay. Not applicable, but I know what they're talking about. Forgiving UI, I guess it's just an input. Pattern tap is getting cloud flared. Okay, well, we're getting into the last, I guess at this point, like 8 minutes, but no, I'm not gonna add, no. Why did I even click that button? I'm such an idiot. I should have looked at that URL. That was not the URL I went to. Add to Chrome. Chrome extensions can see a lot of stuff because they're loaded onto every single page that you ever go to. So just letting you know, everything that you add up here, for all I know, I know LastPass doesn't do this, but they could know every single page that I've ever been to, you know. So crazy. Okay, well, we only made it to 5, but that's not so bad. It took us way more than 8 minutes. Um, so this pi one I like a lot. I don't like having the percentages. Let's just kind of take the final. It's not the final, but pi. So only when you hover on it, it'll show kind of the lines, maybe. Um, and then maybe instead of that, there's like actually this is not a great idea. That's okay. I was thinking about putting some like plus minus buttons inside. So then maybe you could grow and shrink them. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's just group them. Get rid of those two. So definitely not final. Let's say plus minus. I guess one of the things I'm wondering too is like once it gets like a lot smaller, can't fit that plus minus in there. Like let's imagine that, right, this one had, like once you get to like 100 charities, right, they're each getting like 1%. It's not a lot of screen area. Pie chart would look pretty silly when it looked like that, huh? Yeah, that would look pretty silly. What happened if you got to 1,000? I'm not saying that this would be a common case, right? But just trying to think of those edge cases and what those could look like. I think it's definitely worth sleeping on. Cool. So let's see, what did we do in the last 2 hours? We recapped what we had done yesterday. Then we looked at the survey result data. And we had gotten 2 responses from organizations, and we had gotten, I think, 9 responses from donors. We kind of categorized those and started seeing where people are donating. We also learned that people are donating on a regular basis, so that's pretty good, monthly or yearly. And then we, is that when we started the Crazy Eights? Or did we skip something in between there? But yeah, so we came up with a bunch of different alternatives and a bar graph, text boxes, percent boxes, the $1,000,000 homepage, and kind of came to the conclusion that for those of us who are bothered by weird numbers like $3.17, perhaps it would be better to not show the exact number or exact percentage, instead try to represent that visually. But the question is, how do you do that when you have, anywhere from 1 to 1,000 different charities? And also, how do you do that when um, sorry, my brain went off on a tangent. How do you also do that when you I forgot what that second part was going to be. The thing that I went off on the tangent was, maybe we don't need to worry about this. Like, what if to start all charities were equally divided? That might be okay. It could punt this problem of how to do the interface of dividing it up. There's a saying in, I guess it's not a saying. It's something that Eric Ries said, the author of the Lean Startup. Um, he said, if you put a feature out there and you get people complaining, wishing that there was more functionality around it, that is a great thing, because people only complain when they care. And so if nobody's complaining, then nobody actually cares, and you're wasting your time. So trying to come up with a super featured thing might be um, too much work. So tomorrow we can pick up and do some more of the pages. Um, but let's move forward with the assumption that we'll just have a list of charities that we are donating to, and they are just equally dividing it. So if you have one, it's getting all 25 or whatever you set your monthly at. If you have 2 of them, they're getting 12.50. If you have 100 of them, they're each getting 25 cents. Yes. Um, and we'll just go with that. And then we can always, maybe I'll reach out to Joe with Bite Size UX, and maybe they can do a design challenge around it. Maybe that would be pretty cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you tuning in or listening or however it is that you're consuming this, assuming that anybody ever does. Either way, um, it's been great. So have a great night, and I will be here again tomorrow, and actually every Monday to Friday. I'm in Alaska 3 to 5, so 4 to 6 Pacific and 7 to 9 East Coast. All right. Take care. Have a good times.